Good evening, everyone. I call the August 21st, 2024 Apple Valley Planning Commission meeting to order. The first item of business is the approval of the agenda. Any changes from staff?
Chair Kurtz, members of the commission, we have no changes for you at this moment.
Thank you. Any changes from the commission? Can I get an approval?
Recommend approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Scanlon and second by Commissioner, oh my gosh, I have my little cheat note. Here it is, here it is. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The next item of business is the approval of the consent agenda. The consent agenda items are considered routine and will be enacted with a single motion without discussion unless a commissioner or a citizen requests to have any item separately considered. It will then be moved to the land use action items for consideration. Can I have approval for the consent agenda, please?
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of the consent agenda as outlined.
Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Commissioner Scanlon, seconded by Commissioner Sandall. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next brings us to public hearings, and we have two public hearings tonight. The first one is going to be for Alex Sharp. No? Right? Kathy?
Yeah.
I got too many notes going on here, Kathy. We will now open the public hearing for agenda item 4A. The affidavit of publication for the notice of public hearing is available for inspection in the planning department. Everyone wishing to speak at this public hearing should be sure to fill out the attendance roster. Include your name and address so that accurate records can be maintained. We will begin the procedure with a brief presentation by city staff, followed by a presentation by the petitioner of the hearing. Upon the conclusion of the presentation, city staff will be asked to comment on the proposal's conformance with pertinent regulations and policies. After that, comments will be taken from the general public. Okay, Kathy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Planning Commissioners. This item is a request from the petitioner, Trident Development, LLC, and the current property owner, Rockport, LLC. And they are requesting consideration of a comprehensive plan amendment from C commercial to HD high-density residential, which would allow for 12-plus units an acre of density on a 5.62 acre parcel. The property that they are reviewing is a parcel that's on the northwest corner of 157th Street and English Avenue in the Orchard Place development area. More specifically, they are looking to subdivide an existing outlot D of Orchard Place Second Edition. The parcel they'd be creating then is the 5.62 acre parcel there on the south side. As I said, the property is currently guided C commercial as shown on the left-hand side. And what they're requesting is to be able to redesignate it to HD. The petitioners seek to re-guide the property to high density to allow for development of the site for apartments, for a 4-story apartment building. The comprehensive plan amendment is the only action that's requested at this time. Excuse me. If the project were to move forward, the petitioner would need to apply for and receive approval of a number of other items: rezoning of the property, subdivision by preliminary plat, site plan review, building permit authorization. But for now, they're just focused on the comp plan amendment, so getting the first element in line. The site plan is similar to what the Planning Commission reviewed at the sketch plan, February 7th, 2024. What is being proposed, what the petitioner is looking at, is a 4-story apartment building, 128 units total. Of those 128 units, 128 garage parking spaces are provided, 195 surface stalls, which works out to 2.5 parking spaces per unit, which is pretty healthy. And as we said, the Planning Commission did review this in February, so you've seen this, had some questions, and we're working through some issues with that. The exterior design of the building, the rendering shows a combination of cultured stone and lap siding is what it appears to be, just from this kind of artistic depiction. And the one comment that we would want to make is that if the project were to move forward, it would be important that the building reflect the same kind of architectural elements and kind of excitement and activity and interest as the rest of the commercial area. So we want to make sure that it's really reflective of what's going on in the Orchard Place commercial area. The petitioners just provided to us today another site plan showing dedication of an outlot along the north side of the property. What the idea there is that an outlot would be dedicated to the city, and that would be part of their park dedication, but would provide a trail link then from English Avenue into what's shown there to the west, which is a trailhead feature that the city has been working on, and in fact is going to be dropping a bridge on tomorrow or soon, very soon. So it's under construction right now. Pretty exciting project. So when we review a request like this, a couple of questions come to mind. Have conditions changed that impact the land use vision for the area? Is multiple family residential development appropriate for the site? Will multiple family residents be impacted by the nearby commercial development, including some auto-oriented uses? And how can those conflicts be mitigated? One of the questions the commission brought up at the sketch plan was similarly, could the commercial development be negatively impacted by the residential? So those are all questions that should be evaluated as part of the review of this request. So with that, Madam Chair, staff is recommending opening the public hearing, receiving comments, closing the public hearing. It's the policy of the Planning Commission to not take action on an item on the same night as its public hearing. A couple of notes before I turn it back is since the February sketch plan, the city has received 2 emails with comments related to the proposal, and then just this afternoon we received a 3rd. And that has been placed at your spot there at the dais. So with that, I could stand for questions if there are any.
Thank you, Kathy. Commissioner Halas?
Yes. Are we looking at just what was on the diagram here as far as for the apartment for changing from commercial to high-density residential? Or is it the lot north of that? We're looking to change that also.
Madam Chair, Commissioner, they're looking just at this southern lot, and it's just the idea of amending the comprehensive plan. So the comprehensive plan is a layer of approval, zoning and subdivision come after that. So the comprehensive plan is the first thing that has to be lined up in order to allow for the multiple family development. So nope, the property to the north would remain not impacted.
Okay.
No change.
Commissioner Scanlon?
Madam Chair, Kathy, a couple of questions. I'm hesitant about thinking about changing the comprehensive plan as we had it set up. I mean, we put a lot of work in that between the 2030 and then going 2040, and this is the last undeveloped properties within the city of Apple Valley, and that we're giving thoughtful consideration on how they're being developed, and this taking a total different turn in a different direction than what was originally planned. The whole idea was not to envelop this area with residential properties. So I guess my question is then, as the developer come forward on what they're thinking about moving forward with the rest of the remaining properties besides this, it seems like if we open this up, it's going to open up to more residential going forward, and that's where I'm concerned, without having a deeper understanding of what direction we are or what their thoughts are going forward. I understand the idea or the fact that market conditions changed, and we've been working and flexible and moving through that as things have taken place for various reasons. But to go directly to residential, I'm a little bit hesitant about that and concerned. So, and then where within the comprehensive plan, where does the city sit in terms of whether it's single-family, high, low-density housing, and with that we're meeting the requirements from the oversight of the escaping me, but the
Met Council.
Met Council. Thank you
Yes.
very much. And where we're sitting, because it seemed like we have a good balance going on right now, and this is going to what this means to that balance. So.
Sure. Madam Chair, Commissioner Scanlon, this area was zoned and designated for retail business commercial, with the idea that the overall area would be developed with big box retail.
Yep.
And then over time, it kind of scaled back to mid box. And now what the property owner and developer have said is it's kind of a soft market right now. In the comprehensive plan, the property north of here and even north of that, even further, north of 155th, is really set up to be the city's mixed business campus. So kind of a real emphasis on jobs, and that was an area that the city was very concerned about preserving for jobs and not necessarily turning over to residential. So in a case like this, I guess that's part of the evaluation. Can the site handle the change? Is it properly sized, traffic, so on and so forth? Our understanding is that the property immediately to the north is still being marketed for commercial uses. So that would be something that you could ask the petitioner when they get up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, and to add, I mean, on looking at it from the other side, as far as looking at going forward with this, there's the higher density properties just to the west or underside of the stormwater treatment pond. Mm-hmm. So there would be a fit or a mix there for that to fit into there. But it kind of goes back, I need to have a better global or bigger picture understanding of what the change that's taking place here and what that means.
Sure,
and what that means to Apple Valley.
Sure. And one more thing, Commissioner Scanlon, Madam Chair, just to kind of follow up. The city does have goals set forth in the comprehensive plan as far as developing for more density, more residential. Mm-hmm. Not a ton of more, but we're still being kind of encouraged to continue. And
that was kind of my question: is where are we at in that balance, and what this would do? Would that fill that balance, or push it over the more than what we are looking for, or? That's the question I have. So.
And that's an analysis we could provide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yep, thank you.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Kathy, just a quick question. You know, you mentioned the soft market, and certainly there's note here about the master plan in 2017 listed this as a retail area. And that was a desire, and you can drive by and go, what's going there? And 7 years later, there's nothing. So I'm curious, what level of interest has the city received from businesses? Is there anyone that has been knocking on the door to develop this into what was originally intended over these past 7+ years?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Pruitt, really, because it's privately owned land, the city hasn't been that involved. But our understanding from talking with the property owner and the broker is that it's been pretty flat. The interest has been kind of weak. So, but we're coming out of COVID and kind of a bunch of significant disruptions. So I think that might be a great question to ask them when they come up.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sandell?
Madam Chair, Kathy, do we know if there would be impacts to the current retail businesses or even the northern lot changing this to residential in terms of hours they're allowed, noise, all those kinds of things that might end up changing?
Yeah, I think that would be good to bring back, Commissioner Sandel, if you're comfortable with that. What I see when we look at the aerial is that between the retail is the what will be the tire repair shop replacement, and then the car wash. So those two will actually be a buffer between the outdoor dining areas and the apartments. So that'll kind of help a little bit.
But what about for that tire store and the car wash? Will they be impacted as well?
I think that's a good question and worth looking into.
Can we ask the city engineer for traffic? Have we done any analysis on traffic and such?
Yes, Madam Chair, in fact, a preliminary study has been provided and it's in your packet. Evan, are you prepared to speak highly of it?
Yep. Madam Chair, members of the commission. So I did include a preliminary traffic memo, and I thought it would be most prudent to compare the proposed use versus the current zoned or guided use. And so, in a nutshell, the daily anticipated trips of what's being asked or being requested is roughly 6,300 less trips per day than a commercial or medium box retail use. So as far as the traffic concerns go, the site certainly could support the use, obviously because we're seeing a much less use. And I suppose while I have the microphone, the sanitary sewer service as well is adequately guided or provided for the site. So changing the use does not negatively impact future development upstream of the site.
And just in case residents are listening or in the audience, then that would be even a lower count, you're saying, for residential than it would be if it was a business.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for saying that. Commissioner Mahomed.
I guess I want to echo some of the concerns that have been expressed already. Actually, it seems to me the way it's currently set up, if you look at the color-coded comprehensive plan, the having 6,300 less vehicles per day seems to be a significant impairment of the retail and commercial development throughout that area. I mean, that's kind of that drives business, the traffic counts, and now you're taking almost a quarter of that out of it and decreasing the traffic counts by 6,300. I again echo the comments about the high-density zoning located across the treatment pond. Are the purple areas to the north, is that the mixed business campus?
Yes, yes.
So in addition to that, is this sort of, my recollection from the first discussion of this is that this combination of residential with commercial That's that in the style of a mixed business campus, is that correct? Or am I misunderstanding what would be located in a mixed business campus?
Chair Kurtz, Commissioner, it depends on what the established vision is for the mixed business campus. So the way it's laid out in the city's 2040 comp plan, the mixed business is really oriented more toward jobs, corporate offices, industrial, light industrial, that kind of thing, with less housing.
Okay.
But, yeah, I guess that's the best way to explain that.
Okay, because it just seems to me as set forth in the comprehensive plan, you have that entire site that is set up for commercial development, and there's a nice buffer between the medium density and the high density housing to the west, and now you're bringing the housing into the commercial. I'm just not sure if that's the right fit for it. I think.
Okay.
I just think there's a benefit to having that, and I'm certainly sympathetic to the fact that it has been flat interest, but it's also, when you look at I don't believe the tire store is operational yet.
No,
And,
hasn't started construction.
And obviously, Aline, you look at the mix of businesses immediately to the east, are we moving too soon as those businesses develop their customer base? Is it moving, will the sites to the west become more attractive to potential business suitors, or commercial suitors, whether it's big box, medium box, or otherwise? So I don't know. I don't know if there's an urgency to move, and that gets back to all of the questions about where we stand with respect to the balance and the requirements. But I don't know that if there's any urgency to move, maybe see how things go.
Okay.
Kathy, is there a time period that the landowners wait for to see the applicants come in or interest come in? Is there a time frame that they have on that?
Not that I'm aware of, but as we've been speaking about the plans being started in 2017, I mean, it's been kind of an
Sure.
ongoing process.
Because I guess what I'm hearing is the concerns of that, but like in the purple zone with the mixed business and et cetera, how long do they wait to see if they get interest on that? I think what I hear is the concern also that could they say, okay, we don't have any interest for this area, so we're gonna do apartments and high density on this also. So, commissioners, would you like to have the applicant come up? Thanks, Kathy.
Yep.
So Trident Developments here?
Let Chris take the seat.
Okay.
Rogers with Trident. I'm Chris Moe with HJ Development. Good evening, everybody.
Can you state your address also, please, I believe, right?
2425 Thoroughbred Lane, Orono.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So HJ has been involved with the project since 2019. We've been the master developer for all of the commercial areas. So we've brought through the various projects that you see that are now built here in the tire store. It's all of the larger stuff that was originally put here. We just haven't had any success securing any of those users. And it's not necessarily that it's your site or your city. It's just a structural change that's happened in the retail world. Online sales have really changed how those box store operators do business. And they're just, a lot of them are overstored, closing stores. So the churn of new store development for a lot of those box stores is just not happening. And if it is, it's happening in existing structures where their rent is much lower. And so building those today just isn't even close to feasible with construction costs and the rent that they'll pay. So what we do is really just commercial development. We'd love to have seen this all be commercial because that's what we do. Because we haven't had any luck with it since 2019, That's really the thought was, okay, let's get somebody that would bring a nice, high-quality multifamily project that would complement what commercial we have, and then allow us to develop the balance of what we have left. So the question of, would this be it, or would this be kind of like, okay, we got one apartment approved, we can ask for another? That would not be the case. The case would be if this were approved, it would be done in this area from a multifamily standpoint, and then we would, work to do what we can to get call it 10 acres of the remaining property developed for commercial. If you look at just the size of this, it's a pretty big development from a commercial standpoint for today. If you look at stuff that is happening, and a lot of the newer developments, I'm working on several of them, have a multifamily component to them. And we feel that the retailers like it because even though it generates less total daily trips, it's residents that go eat at the restaurants often, can walk across the street, they go buy groceries at Lund's. So I'm doing something similar in Blaine, something in Maple Grove, where I've got retail components, and then the other commercial. So if you look at it, I think we probably have somewhere near 30 acres here still of commercial if we peel out this 5 acres for the multifamily. So we really are excited about it. We're certainly invested here and going to be for a long time with what we've built. We don't plan to sell it and throw it to somebody else. So we want to see something nice done, and we think that Trident does a very good job. We vetted a bunch of multifamily developers because there was a lot of interest. We did get a lot of calls from apartment operators over the years, just not the big retailers that we wish we had. So that's kind of high level where we're at with it. I mean, I'd be happy to come back and share some additional concepts on what we could potentially do on the balance from a commercial standpoint. We've been working with some small shop type tenants as well as some restaurants and bigger entertainment type users, but that's been slow going too. New construction in general, just coming out of COVID, high interest rates, high construction costs has been a challenge. Whether or not that gets better in the near term, I don't know, but again, I think there's just structural changes that have happened within the retail industry that are going to make this land sit for a long time if it all is to remain retail, in my opinion. So that's kind of my piece, and then I'll bring up Roger from Trident. He can talk about all the specifics of the project.
Did anybody have any questions for him first? Commissioner Sandell?
Madam Chair, one thing that you said just caught my ear, that you're worried that this one will sit for a while if we don't move with it like this. Are you concerned still about the stuff to the north sitting for a while, or do you think that this will help bring in?
I think it will help. I think it will complement it, and I think it will draw additional interest that will help get some of these things that we're trying to make happen to the north to happen.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I ask one more?
Okay. Anyone else? Commissioner Halas?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just curious on the northern portion of this. If this would be moving ahead to putting the multifamily apartment complex in there, is that going to be a deterrent on the northern lot for commercial, saying that we're right against a residential area? This doesn't lend well for our commercial property for what we want to put in there.
Sure.
Does it balance well for you? Have you seen this in other locations where that works?
Yes. You see it quite often. Mixed-use districts now have multifamily, and then, like I said, I've got another project in Maple Grove and one in Blaine where I'm doing something very similar, where we've got larger tracts of land. We're building apartments with other partners, and then we're doing commercial. And when you're talking with the retailers, they really like the fact that there's apartment buildings nearby.
Is it a certain type of business that lends itself with an apartment adjacent to that?
Grocery stores, restaurants, automotive uses. Everybody likes to have kind of a built-in customer base is what we find, and so they like that density right out their door.
Commissioner Sandell?
Madam Chair, sorry, I had one more. The tire lot, the Have you, because you're the one that developed all of these right in here,
That's correct. We didn't do Lunz's store, but everything else.
Sure.
Yep.
have you had any conversations with, like, the tire store and the car wash about being across the street from
Yep,
us?
yeah, they're all aware of this, and I'd be happy to bring forth, letters from them if you wanted to see that, or any of the tenants with their opinions, we could certainly do that.
I'd be curious to see
Okay.
that.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
Commissioner Scanlon?
Madam Chair, it would be appreciated if you would come back and show us some ideas about your concept of doing this with having high-density residential mixed with commercial
Okay,
properties, and other projects you've done, and kind of give a visual on what that looks like.
Sure.
And just moving forward, I think that would help a lot. Because you've been involved with this just like the city and the planning commission has been for a long time.
right,
Forward thinking as the sand and gravel mining has been winding down to an end in the future and what direction that this has gone. And I think what's been done in the commercial side so far has been a good complement to the east side of the city here, and it's bringing a balance of services across the city. So to see what your more in-depth thoughts of what your concept of doing this would really help
okay.
us, I think, as a commission.
Are you referring just to the balance of Outlot D that goes up to 155th, or are you talking about the mixed business campus?
I
as well to
think
the
maybe just a refresh on the whole thing would help all of
Okay.
us with, because I think each of us have had questions about the
Sure.
mixed business campus also. And
Yeah.
it's been a while since we've kind of talked about the plan overall.
Yep.
And I think that would really help out.
And we don't have all of that under contract.
Right.
So there's been different concepts that have been thrown out there, but a lot of it is stuff that we don't do. So there's not a whole lot of commercial up there. There's a couple pieces. And I think only one multifamily site off on the far west. And then I think it's a lot of office and industrial kind of a thing. So I'm happy to give you some detailed plans on, what I have control
Your
of.
portion of it, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I can certainly do that, a few different looks of the scenarios we're looking at. And then, if you want to talk about other things to the north, I'm not sure that I'm the best one to do that.
Yeah, I think it would help with the dialogue here, so,
Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome.
It's unfortunate that some company doesn't want to come in that big, large area for entertainment for families, or, what am I trying to think of? Just anything that families could do. I mean, Apple Valley just really needs something for families, for entertainment.
Well, and we do have, and I don't want to make any promises, but we do have an entertainment concept that we are talking with for the balance of land to the north, portion of it, but I can't make any promises, but they have other facilities, and it's like, they have volleyball courts and bean bags, and then indoor bowling and things like that, but it's in early discussions, so I'll have a site plan from them fairly soon, and be happy to share it.
We need like a Top Golf or go-karts or something like that.
Trust me, that would make me very happy too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take the developer, or the Mr. Trident.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Madam Chair, members of the Planning Commission, I'm Roger Fink. I'm with Trident Development, St. Cloud, 1200 25th Avenue South.
Thank you.
And thank you for your thoughtful questions and your concerns on this application. Also want to thank the city staff for their help on the application and the very good report. So, thank you. I do have some prepared remarks, so I'll go through those and then be prepared to answer some questions. But like Chris said, we really believe that the introduction of multifamily into this commercial node will be mutually beneficial, not only for the residents, but for the retailers as well. We're seeing this as kind of a evolution in the commercial real estate industry, where retailers and housing developers are partnering up to have a mixed use, very congruent, very mutually beneficial mixed use land plan. So I think some of the benefits that this change would bring to the overall master plan is it utilizes some vacant land that doesn't any longer seem to be in demand for retail use or commercial use. It creates additional households, otherwise shoppers, within walking distance of many of these retail establishments. It affords some nearby housing options for the employees that are now working in those areas. And it creates a trail connection from the North Creek Greenway trailhead easterly over to English Avenue. And it enhances, I think, the public utilization of that trailway. So situating a high-density residential land use in close proximity to retail and commercial is a rather common land planning practice. I think that you'll see that occurs throughout Apple Valley in a variety of places. I have some photographs that I can illustrate that, but I'm sure being from Apple Valley, you can recognize where those places are. The bigger question is this the place to make that happen again? So we see it as creating a suitable buffer between the intensive commercial use and a lower density housing use on the other side. So this land use change would create that buffer. So some concerns have been raised. I've seen a couple of the emails and then some from Planning Commission last time, but I haven't seen that third comment, so I can't address that. There was a question about noise generated from car wash and potentially generated from I call it the tire retail store, impacting the apartment residents. I can only say that I personally inspected or observed on site during business hours of the car wash as it's operating. And from where I was sitting right at the corner of English Avenue and at the site there, couldn't hardly hear anything going on at the car wash, though cars were going through. So that's a very quiet operation in my opinion. And I honestly don't think with the distance and the noise level that they generate, there will be any negative impact to residents at the apartment. Conversely, I would probably say that, you know, the residents, the household's number of cars right across the street from the car wash could be a benefit to the Mr. Car Wash business, and we would probably cross-market our residents for commercial for customers there. There was also another concern about population overcrowding and traffic congestion. Recognize that, you know, the city of Apple Valley, there's a lot of good reasons to live here. A lot of people move here for very good reasons and a variety of reasons. And I think the city has done a great job of offering and creating a variety of housing options for people moving here. And we think that apartment housing is one of those important elements. Further, you know, we've talked about job creation in the northern section of this master plan. And in some communities, we actually find employers struggling to hire new employees because those employees can't find housing or can't find housing close enough to make it work for them. So I would submit that putting housing near that employment base would help foster and create interest for employment expansion or new businesses coming in. I think we addressed the housing or the traffic impact with the report on the traffic study, so I won't belabor that.
Except, can I ask one question on that? What about, somebody is asking whether or not with the increase of pedestrians and stuff, are you going to have some crosswalks there and et cetera like that?
Thank you for bringing that up, Madam Chair. We've been working closely with city staff to organize our vehicular traffic patterns and our pedestrian connections. And though we're not here to approve a site plan tonight,
right.
I can get into some details of our site plan that illustrates how we've made elaborate attempt to provide lots of pedestrian connections throughout the site, connected them to the trail, connecting them across English Avenue to the retail use, crosswalks and bicycle trails and so forth. So I think we're doing a very thorough job of that. If we get to the point where we are in the site planning, we'll get into that in far more detail.
Sounds good, thank
Yep.
you.
You know, as Chris Moe testified, the big box and junior box retailers are just really scaling back their appetite for brick and mortar stores for a variety of reasons. And I think that, you know, we're just seeing a lot of commercial land sit vacant for a long time. One case in point, our company is building and about to open an apartment building in Chaska that is on what was formerly a junior box retail site. It was anchored by a Kohl's, still is, a successful Kohl's store. But the junior box portion of that shopping center never, ever got off the ground in Chaska. So the developer of the shopping center came to us and asked if we would consider putting housing there, because he couldn't find any other user that would have interest in doing that. So we successfully worked with Kohl's. We worked with the city, we worked with the Hazeltine Golf and Country Club, which is immediately east of there, to come up with a very mutually beneficial housing project that we're very proud of, and I think it really works well within that little shopping center. So these residents will have walking distance to McDonald's, to Kohl's, to Chipotle, to Aldi's, and I think that those retail users are delighted knowing that all of these shoppers now, all these customers are going to be so close to their business. So we're seeing that kind of as a trend happening even throughout the metro. I could get more into the site plan if you care to do that with you know, what our concept plan is addressing in terms of amenities and separation of public from private space and parking organization, so forth. If you care to, I really feel like that's really more intended to be for site plan approval when we
Yeah,
get that point.
we could wait on that,
Okay,
I think.
yeah. So I guess I would just conclude by saying that while this is different than what the master plan originally contemplated, we just think we're responding to the evolution and what's going on in commercial real estate. Don't see that coming back. We think that Amazon and online shopping and work from home and remote employees are really retracting the brick and mortar and the appetite for commercial businesses to have real estate. And so in the meantime, there continues to be in pockets of housing shortage and need for housing. So this has really been a trend that we've been seeing, and we think it will work really well here in Apple Valley. That being said, I guess I appreciate your consideration of this application. I'm here to answer any questions for you, please.
Any questions, commissioners?
You might have one question.
Commissioner
Madam Chair.
Halas?
You mentioned tonight that there's, on the north end of this property that we're questioning, we're proposing here, that there is going to be a trail put through there.
That's our proposal.
Is that part of your property, or is that property that's going to be turned over to the park? It will be for the park to maintain, or is that going to be your property?
What we intend to do, and it's still up for negotiation, but our intention was to purchase that extra land. It's about a 40-foot wide strip of land, is to purchase that, construct the trail, 8-foot wide trail, connecting it to English Avenue, of course, at our expense. We would replat Outlot D so that 40-foot wide strip would be designated as an outlot. And then, if that's the city's wishes, we would dedicate that outlot property to the city for public use. A good portion of that 40-foot strip is already encumbered by an existing public utility easement for, I think it's for stormwater mainly. So there's not a lot of other use for that 40-foot strip because it's pretty well encumbered by that easement already. So we collaborated with city staff and felt like this would be an ideal opportunity to create that trail connection from the trailhead over to English Avenue and get more shoppers and more customers over to the retail center by doing so.
just a little clarification on, for future maintenance and updating of that property, whose responsibility would that be?
If we went through that dedication of the outlot to the city, the responsibility for maintenance and upkeep of that lot would be the city's, so it'd be part of the public domain.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Right, thanks again.
Okay,
I had a follow-up for Kathy.
Kathy, Commissioner Scanlon has a follow-up question for you, please.
Kathy, besides looking at what we talked about earlier with housing needs and vacancies and so forth, can we also look at commercial property vacancies within the city in terms of the fact that we're taking and be looking at putting residential versus using commercial, that what the vacancy level is right now within Apple Valley?
Madam Chair, my colleague Alex, is that data available?
Madam Chair, we can try to put something together on that as a general notation to it. We have some pretty quick turnaround in Apple Valley with the smaller sites. Where we've lingered is big box, harder to fill, or unique build sites. But we'll see what we can get together, and perhaps our commercial developer in the room can even assist slightly with that.
Yeah, it seems like it's always in the past that it's always been pretty tight in terms of that there isn't a lot of vacancies available for commercial use.
Are you thinking vacancies in terms of office space in particular, or retail?
Well, that would
or-
be suitable to be competitive with this,
Okay,
for that discussion.
Oh, I see.
Competitive
I see.
discussion.
Yes.
I guess I didn't clarify that initially.
Okay.
That versus the industrial side or that type of vacancy.
okay,
Just I guess it would be the retail commercial
sure.
side of it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, we can do some investigating.
Okay.
Thanks, Kathy. Okay, at this time, if there is any residents who would like to come up, please come to the podium to speak and address all comments and questions to Chair. And if I also may add that I need your name and your address when you come up, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Andrea Steffen. I'm in 15572 Everglade Avenue. So I'm on the north building that's directly across from the stormwater treatment. I just wanted to give some considerations and questions for this project. I am in favor of the trailhead. I like that addition. The noise and light pollution from Mr. Car Wash, I'd say the light pollution is actually the bigger deal than the sound. It's very bright. And the sound, it kind of, with those vacuums that are there, it's a very high-pitched noise, so it could have possibly bother dogs because it's very high-pitched. I walk there frequently. Let's see. Another consideration are the architectural requirements as far as the brick and whatever was shown on the front, what's on the back side, because that would be my view. And then also, has there been any, as far as the impacts to the schools, is there I haven't heard anything about, is there going to be any issues with population for the elementary school and middle school and high school that this would be assigned to? And then just as far as the future planning, there's already the high density development that will be to the north. Would there be any issue with competition between this and that being built in the future? Let's see. I'm not a huge fan of that it's 4 stories tall. I mean, our units are 3 stories, so that it is taller, but 4 stories just kind of is a bit of an eyesore in my opinion. And then just expressing a desire for a gas station in this area. There's none on the right side when you come down Pilot Knob.
Except for Holiday there, right? Well,
In
yeah,
Egan?
that's on Pilot Knob and 42, yeah. Right?
Johnny Cake.
Oh, Johnny Cake,
Johnny
I'm not
Cake.
right, like,
Sorry.
it's not visible from Pilot Knob.
Okay.
Those are my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy, do we want to address any of her questions at this time, or are we just taking questions down and we'll have answers later, right?
Can I just jump into
Please.
one?
Absolutely.
The one with the architectural, the city code says that it has to be four-sided architecture, so it has to be equally attractive on all sides.
Thank you.
So I'll cross that off the list.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other residents?
Brandon Irish, Brandon Irish, 5884, 156th Street West. Same development as she is. I guess my only thing, and it's probably not a big thing, but something to at least think about, you know, we've got that walking sidewalk, which I'm going to guess that's going to have an impact of higher traffic through there. My house is right alongside that sidewalk. So what concerns me would be an increase in crime, having much more people, whether that be, you know, if understanding it's family houses, but that's going to include teenagers, you know, and just maybe some a little more riffraff. So that just gives me a little bit of concern.
Okay, thank you. Any others? If there are no further comments, I will close this public hearing. It is the policy of the Planning Commission not to act on an item on the same night as the public hearing. The Planning Commission will weigh all comments and information received tonight in its deliberations at future meetings. This item will continue to appear on future Planning Commission agendas until a recommendation on the petition can be forwarded to City Council. Thank you. Okay, we have one more public hearing tonight, and that will be Matt Sam. And that is with the applicant of City of Apple Valley. We now open the public hearing for agenda item 4B. The affidavit of publication for the notice of public hearing is available for inspection in the planning department. Everyone wishing to speak at this public hearing should be sure to fill out the attendance roster, including your name and your address, so that accurate records can be maintained. We will begin the procedure with a brief presentation by city staff, followed by a presentation by the petitioner of the hearing. Upon the conclusion of the presentation, city staff will be asked to comment on the proposal's conformance with pertinent regulations and policies. After that, comments will be taken from the general public. Hello.
Hello, thank you, Madam Chair and Commission members. I'm Matt Som. I'm the Public Works Director. With me tonight is Samantha Berger. She's our Natural Resources Coordinator. So if there's anything you all ask me that I can't take, giving it to Sam. So it should be a fairly brief discussion. We are looking to, or we're proposing a revision to Chapter 155. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the drainage kind of requirements that are in that code section. So again, what we'll talk about tonight, our discussion topics are what prompted these revisions, go through a summary of the ordinance revisions. Again, it's fairly minor, and then, of course, open the public hearing. So what did prompt these revisions? I'm going to step back for a second first. In front of you all tonight is Chapter 155. It's part of the zoning ordinance. That's under your domain. We're also at the same time, after it goes through Planning Commission, going to be bringing a revision to Chapter 152 to the City Council for formal approval. Both of those changes are, they are, where am I going with this? They're required in accordance with our MS4 stormwater permit. It's a municipal separate storm sewer system permit from the MPCA. Again, drainage requirements, stormwater, that's what we're talking about here. So the existing Chapter 155.350 entitled Drainage Requirements has both stormwater runoff design criteria in there, along with impervious surface coverages for lots. So our proposal is to leave basically the impervious surface requirements alone, but with the stormwater wording in there, we want to delete some of the older, outdated language, change some of the remaining language, and then move that into Chapter 152, that other chapter I was talking about, which is entitled Natural Resources Management. We'll then, as part of 155, those revisions reference back to that Chapter 152, along with our surface water management plan, which contains all of our drainage requirements for the city. So a lot of words there. I wanted to go over the exact wording for the ordinance for the public at home. So I'll just read this quickly. All land property within the city shall be subject to the city's drainage and stormwater management regulations in accordance with the city's stormwater management plan, surface water management plan, or other operational plans adopted by the city, and in accordance with those regulations set forth in Chapter 152 herein governing natural resources management regulations. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions, and then we could open the public hearing.
Sure, thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Scanlon?
Madam Chair, I guess the biggest thing, a takeaway that I have on this, it just really simplifies the impervious, especially for residential types. You're not working through a math formula, and you're just looking at a simple square footage and percentage, and it just makes it a lot clearer for folks, especially when we are looking at variances from time to time with folks wanting to do things to their property and so forth. I think it'll help them visualize much simpler than it was previously, so.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. Good point. Yeah, it should clarify and make easier the requirements that are left in Chapter 155. Again, referencing to 152 for any specific drainage requirements. We are leaving the impervious surface requirements alone.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, no other questions?
Thank you.
Would anybody like to come up to speak? Looks like that is it. So at this time, if there are no further comments, I will close this public hearing. It is the policy of the Planning Commission not to act on an item on the same night of a public hearing. The Planning Commission will weigh all comments and information received tonight and in its deliberations at future meetings. This item will continue to appear on future Planning Commission agendas until a recommendation on the petition can be forwarded to City Council, unless there's anybody who would like to make a motion tonight.
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of a draft ordinance amending Section 155.350 to update and clarify stormwater management requirements.
Second. Motion made by Commissioner Scanlon, second by Chair Kurtz. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. That brings us to land use action items, and there is none to list tonight, so that brings us to other business and Mr. Tim Benetti.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. So in your packet tonight, you received a background information on our proposed cannabis ordinance that we are diligently putting together and frantically putting together because we have a tight timeline to get it done by the end of this year. This packet of information, it contains, again, a really great memo prepared by our planning team, our planner, Alex. It just gives a great background, some mapping, a great table, and a really deep dive packet of material from the Office of Cannabis Management on a guide that they're providing for local governments. Tonight, we just want to make sure that this information is just for your background and for your perusal. We'd like to have no questions at this time, although not to be impolite. We'd like to just have your questions held off until the public hearing on the 18th. Tonight, you did set that public hearing, and we intend to have a draft ordinance ready for you for review at that time, and also for any other questions or comments or concerns, support or non-support of any items that we plan to present to you. So for tonight, we're just simply asking that you take this information home with you, sleep with it at night, and get make sure you're well rested and prepared for the next 18th meeting, because we intend to have a lot of information for you coming down the pike here, and it's going to be a little fast and furious, but we know you're a smart group and we can get you through this, and we're here to help you too as well. So.
Yes, thanks to Alex on that. It was very interesting and very informative and very well put together, so thanks for your work on that. So at this time, I believe that we have somebody who has her last meeting.
Yes, so for tonight, this would have been, unless you had, unless she plans on bringing back for the September 3rd. So,
Chips on the back.
tomorrow night, our esteemed planner, Kathy Bodmer, is wrapping up almost by 8 days of 30 years
Wow.
of being your planner.
That's awesome.
And now city planner. She started from humble roots of UW River Falls. Oh, the other one. I knew I got that wrong.
Ouch.
And
Ouch.
she started with a couple other cities before us, but she's been here since 1993,
Wow.
give or take, 94.
Did you have a cheat sheet like I have?
I
Come
don't.
on.
I'm going on memory. But tomorrow night, she's going to be honored with a proclamation by our city council. So if you can attend, that would be very nice. And she's also having can I announce, a going away party, her last day of September 6th, from about 2 o'clock to her bar time, starting about 3:30. So I'm going to let her go off a little bit earlier that day, and I'm not going to ding her for an hour of PTO, but we'd love to have you there. We have we could only do cookies, cakes, and snacks, but Kathy's bar tab will be open at the tavern. So we hope to have Kathy's brothers and family take care of that for us. So, but again, we'd love to have you. We'll send some more information for you. We've got some pre-planning to do as well, but we'd also, it would honor, I'm sure, Kathy, if any of you can make the meeting tomorrow night, it'll be a quick proclamation and reading by the mayor, and it's a great capstone to her career. And she's been a great resource of information since I've been here almost 2 years, and I've really appreciated what she brings to this department and to this community, and I hope we're going to miss her, and she's a great planner, very smart, very intuitive, and great sense of humor, which is everything that a planner should be, and none of us are, but she brings it. So we're very happy to see her, guard her cats now and do her walking and do whatever they do in retirement age. These UW lacrossers. So again, I will shut up, and I appreciate. I'm channeling a Bruce right now. I'm very, very sorry. I will stop.
We're cutting you off.
Again, more information. Thank you.
Well, Kathy, if I'm going to say my goodbyes to you, but I highly recommend retirement. So it seems kind of scary at first, but it quickly is a new routine you will pick up very much. And like I said, I'm always available if you want to go biking or walking. Okay. But you have been a treasure. You have been, I have learned a lot from you. When I started here 7-8 years ago, I don't even remember, but you were one of those women that would just get up and just know her thing, and I just always admired your your intelligence and the way that you presented yourself. So thank you for everything that you have taught me. I appreciate it, and I wish you nothing but golden roads ahead of you. Would anybody else like to say goodbye? Sure.
Well, congratulations on retirement.
Thank you.
And I guess I'm going to repeat a little bit, but you've always been so helpful, and always look forward to your presentations because you go through in such detail, and it's especially when I first started. And you've always been so patient with all the questions I always have to ask, so I appreciate that. And but you will be missed, and been just a great asset to the city and to the Planning Commission to help us do our job, and very much appreciated. So thank you.
Sure. Anyone else?
I'd like to say that I haven't worked with you for very long, but it's been a pleasure. I'm not able to make it tomorrow night, but I'd be there if I could.
Okay.
But it's one that I've lived in Apple Valley for 38-some years, and you've done a nice job of making some plans and good direction for the city. I know you had a good part of that. Congratulations. And I retired a year ago, and it's a lot of fun.
What else? Nope, go ahead.
I think we all know that I'm not a very eloquent person, but I just wanted to say thank you, and I've just really appreciated you. I echo a lot of what Jody said about you, so thank you for everything that you've done for me, for our city. Just watching you has been awesome, so thank you. We'll miss you.
Should we applaud her?
May I say something before we wrap up?
Please.
Thank you, Planning Commission. You all volunteer your time to do this job. I get paid. You volunteer. So you're really a very, very important piece of this whole process. So thank you for the time that you put in and for supporting us. You're a great group. You ask great questions. So that helps make our job so much easier. So thank you and best of luck. You guys are going in a great direction. You've got a great team.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know nothing but great things are coming down the pike for you.
That was very nice. Thank you,
Thank you.
Kathy. Do I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Scanlon and seconded by Commissioner Sandal. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This motion has declared. This meeting is ended.
And please join us for a little light refreshments. We brought some cupcakes, some candies, and Kathy's favorite lemonade. And